Good morning, Steelers Nation. Welcome back to the Steel Curtain Call, a show here on YouTube dedicated 100% to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am your host. My name is Patrick. Thank you guys very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to give us a view this morning. I really appreciate it. I'll tell you something else I'd really appreciate is if you are watching us here on YouTube, make sure you hit that big subscribe button. Every subscription counts. And if you're feeling even froggier than that, you can support our show on Patreon. The link is in the description, patreon.com/the Steel Curtain Call. For just $1 a month, ladies and gentlemen, on Patreon, you will get exclusive content that is not available here on YouTube. And the best part about that exclusive content, it is totally 100% decided by you, not me. It's 100% optional. You don't have to, but if you would like to support us, the link is in the description, patreon.com/the Steel Curtain Call. All right, guys, I'm actually snowed in here today. It snowed pretty heavily last night. I then got a call this morning saying that work was canceled, so I thought, hey, why make the good people of YouTube wait? Let's get this show on the road. Today, here on the Steel Curtain Call, we are talking about Wildcard Weekend. Now, I know what you're thinking, Patrick, we don't play Wildcard Weekend. Yes, you're right. We do have a first round bye. We play in the Divisional Round, but Wildcard Weekend does have some implications for us, and it does mean a lot for us, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're really going to seek to answer two questions today here on the show. Question number one, who are we most likely going to face? Question number two, who would we ideally like to face? What team would be the path to least resistance to getting to the AFC Championship game? Now, we do know already who we will not face in the Divisional Round. We will not face the Buffalo Bills. We have a 0% chance of facing the Buffalo Bills. The reason why is we are the number 2 overall seed in the AFC, which means we have to play the highest seed to come out of Wildcard Weekend. That kind of rules the Bills out by default. So there are 3 teams who we could potentially face when the Divisional Round comes. We will either face the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, or the Kansas City Chiefs. So question number 1, which of those 3 teams will we most likely face? Question number 2, which of those teams would we like to face? Let's start by talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, you want to play the Jacksonville Jaguars in the Divisional Round, and you also don't want to play them in the Divisional Round. Here's why. Here's why you do want to play them. It's all about revenge. It's all about redemption. The last time the Steelers and Jaguars played each other, it was in Heinz Field. It was Week 5. And it was one of the most embarrassing games in recent memory for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jaguars clobbered us 30-9. Like I said, it wasn't in Jacksonville, it was in our stadium. 30-9. Leonard Fournette and TJ Yeldon ran for over 200 yards combined. Ben Roethlisberger threw a career-high 5 interceptions. It was just, oh, wow. I mean, really, one of the more horrid games the Steelers have played in recent memory, and I have not forgotten it. I would love another shot at that team. I would like some revenge. Here's why you don't want to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, though. Very simple, because they're good. Now, offensively, they don't really scare me all that much. Blake Bortles, yeah, that doesn't really move my needle. Now, their run attack, on the other hand, does. They've got Leonard Fournette and they've got TJ Yeldon. And here's the thing, guys. The Steelers' run defense has been awful as the season has come to a close. I mean, really, it's been very disappointing to watch this run defense. You know, first half of the year, it was great. There really was no problem. And then second half of the year, it's just gotten gradually worse. I think the loss of Ryan Shazier has a little bit to do with it, but I think it's much more complicated than that as well. Long story short, run defense is not good right now. So you take our run defense, you throw Leonard Fournette and Yeldon on top of it, that's not a very good recipe. Now, what I will say is I don't expect lightning to strike twice. If we did play them, I don't think Leonard Fournette and Yeldon would combine for over 200 again. I don't think this defense would allow that for a second time. But if you can take those 2 men out of this game, if you can eliminate their rush attack altogether and put the ball in the hands of Blake Bortles, oh yeah, we're home free. So offensively, they're not a team that really terrifies me as long as you can take care of the running attack. Defensively, on the other hand, yeah, they're as terrifying as it gets. Starting with their pass rush led by Calais Campbell, they have 55 sacks on the season. We have 56. But they are right under us with 55. They've been a magnificent pass rushing team all season long. They led all 32 teams for really a good number of games. So they're very formidable in that area. Their run defense has been a little shaky. They don't really terrify me too much in that area, but pass rushing, oh, yeah. And then, last but not least, there's their secondary with Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Bouye. It's kind of a rare thing to see 2 of the top defensive backs in the National Football League on the same exact football team. That's what the Jaguars have. To talk first about Jalen Ramsey, you know, I'm not a big Jalen Ramsey fan. He's not the most likable guy in the free world. I kind of like his intensity. I kind of like his competitive spirit a little bit, but I think he's kind of a douchebag. But Jalen Ramsey, in just his second year of football, has already sort of solidified himself as one of the top defensive backs in the league. I mean, I've taken time to watch him as I've had free time. And one of the things that amazes me about him is just his instinct. It's like he knows what the receiver is going to do before it even happens. I mean, he knows exactly when they will break on their routes. He anticipates it. He's also so good at keeping his eyes on the receiver, but also getting his head turned back around to see what the quarterback's doing. That's such a difficult thing to do as a defensive back, and he does it flawlessly. And another thing that Ramsey does very well, and I think it's a very underrated part of being a defensive back in the NFL, is getting into receivers' heads, making them uncomfortable. He's good with the trash talk. He's kind of good at getting them off their game a little bit, so there's that. And then you've got A.J. Bouye. He's just as good as Jalen Ramsey. He's another one of the top defensive backs in this league. So, yes, their secondary absolutely terrifies me. The thing about this Jaguars team is they really remind me a lot of the Baltimore Ravens team that won the Super Bowl, and you've got to go way back. This is several years ago. The first time the Ravens ever won a Super Bowl. I can't remember. I want to say it was Super Bowl 34. They played the New York Giants. That was when Kerry Collins was the quarterback. I'm kind of dating myself a little bit here. I think the final score to that game was something like 34-7, or it might have been even worse than that. But that Ravens team, offense was not that overwhelming at all. I think the offense was led by Trent Dilfer. Their defense, on the other hand, was one of the most formidable defenses in pro football, maybe to ever do it. Well, that's kind of how the Jaguars strike me. They're a team that they can get to the Super Bowl and win it all because of how good their defense is, with their offense kind of being a compliment here and there. But anyway, kind of like I said, you want to face them because you want revenge. I want revenge. I know we can play better than 30-9. I also don't think Ben Roethlisberger, given a second chance, would throw 5 interceptions again. But because of how good their defense is and their rushing attack, they are a team that would make me nervous if we had to play them. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs do not even remotely terrify me, if I'm being 100% honest with you. I thoroughly believe that the Steelers are completely in the Kansas City Chiefs' heads. I kind of think the Steelers are to the Chiefs what the Patriots are to the Steelers, and that is the kryptonite. They just can't get past us. The last 3 times the Steelers and Chiefs have played, the Steelers have won all 3 of the matchups. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that the last 2 out of the 3 meetings have been in Arrowhead Stadium, the playoff game last year and the game in Week 5 this year. Well, things would be different if we played them in the divisional round this time around. It would go back to Heinz Field this time. Now I know what you're thinking. You really would want to play the Kansas City Chiefs with Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Alex Smith? Well, if I'm being 100% honest, those guys don't really scare me, and I'm basing that off of the first time we met. The first time we met, we held Kareem Hunt to just 21 yards rushing. Tyreek Hill had -9 yards rushing. He also only had 34 yards receiving, keep that in mind. Travis Kelce only had 37 total yards receiving, and we held Alex Smith to under 300 yards passing. All 4 of those guys, we shut them down completely. I'm not taking anything away from those guys. The Chiefs do have a lot of offensive weapons. They are kind of high-powered, but our defense had no problem with them the first time. And you pile on the fact that we'd be playing in Heinz Field, I don't think it'd be a problem. Defensively, that team's a mess. Yes, they've got Marcus Peters, but Marcus Peters alone is not going to save that defense. This is an extremely shaky defense, mainly against the run. This team has been terrible against the run. And when you look at the last 3 times our teams have played, Le'Veon Bell has ran all over that defense for 150-plus yards. So if I'm being 100% honest, Kansas City actually doesn't scare me all that much. I would have no problem facing them in the divisional round. Then you've got the Tennessee Titans. Give me the Tennessee Titans, please. I'm not trying to not give them credit for anything. I mean, their defense. We'll start off with their defense. They've got some bright sparks on that defense. They've been pretty solid getting after the quarterback. That's no shock. They are led by Dick LeBeau. And give their secondary credit. Their secondary has been relatively good at keeping the lid on things, not letting the big plays happen downfield. So their defense is okay. But if I'm being 100% honest, based on the first meeting of our 2 teams back on that Thursday night game where we wore the beautiful Color Rush uniforms, while their defense is led by Dick LeBeau, and while they've got some good weapons, I don't think they have the personnel to shut down our offense. Our offense versus their defense, I think our offense wins every single day of the week. You take a healthy Antonio Brown, who would be healthy at the time. You take Martavis Bryant, who is beginning to come on a little bit here down the stretch. Juju Smith-Schuster, who is a full-blown superstar at this point, Le'Veon Bell, what he gives you in the rush and in the passing game, and Ben Roethlisberger, I just don't think they have the personnel to shut all 5 of those guys down. Oh, and pile on Vance McDonald if he can stay healthy. Yeah, Tennessee wouldn't stand a chance. And then there's Tennessee's offense. Wow. They've got some bright sparks on their offense, kind of like their defense. You know, Derrick Henry's been pretty good at running the football this season. Delanie Walker, I'm very impressed with Delanie Walker. But that offense is one of the most boring, uninspiring things you will watch. It kind of starts with Marcus Mariota. Mariota has not, and he is early into his career. Maybe things change for him down the stretch, but Mariota has not been the quarterback that we thought he was going to be yet. Now, I won't be too hard on him. I know he's dealt with quite a few injuries so far into his career, but Mariota has not been what we expected him to be. This guy is the ultimate safe, conservative game manager. You know, everybody talks about Alex Smith and how he's just a conservative game manager. Folks, Alex Smith is starting to become a powerhouse quarterback who can move the ball down the field anytime he wants. Mariota, on the other hand, there's nothing powerhouse about this guy. This is as safe and conservative of a quarterback as I have seen in a very long time. I mean, he's not bad. That's the other thing about Mariota. He's not a bad quarterback at all. He doesn't make a bunch of dumb decisions. He doesn't throw a ton of interceptions. But there's just nothing about this guy that overly inspires you. He's a game manager, and that's pretty much it right now. So, yes, please give me the Tennessee Titans. I'd have no problem playing that team. I think we would take care of business easily. Do I think we would put up 40 points like we did last time? I don't. I don't think you're going to pull one over on Dick LeBeau twice like that. But I do think our offense would run their defense into the ground for a second time. So based on everything I just said, I think you know who I would like to face. You give me the Tennessee Titans. I think that is the path of least resistance to getting to the AFC Championship game easily. But ideally, who will we face? We're probably going to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, weirder things have happened. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know everything, because I most certainly don't. But Jaguars, Bills, the Jaguars are probably going to win that. You take the Bills' offense, which is also an offense that is not that inspiring at all. Also, you've got to think about the fact that Shady McCoy is not going to be 100% for this game. Yes, he may play, but his ankle is very, very hurt right now. You take a less than 100% Shady McCoy on top of an offense that already is just not inspiring at all, and you go up against that defense. Yeah, I think Jags take this game easily. Now, I'll give the Bills some credit. They do have some good players there on that defense. I think their defense is good enough to maybe quiet that Jaguars offense. I think they could take Leonard Fournette and TJ Yeldon out of this game. And if you can put the ball in the hands of Blake Bortles, okay, maybe they have a better chance to win. But, you know, again, their offense versus the Jaguars defense, I just don't see how, in my opinion, how in the world the Bills would win this game. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. But most likely, I think we all know it, the Jaguars are probably going to win that game. If the Jaguars win that game, then it's done. It's over. They will come to Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter what happens in the Tennessee and Kansas City game at that point, we would face the Jaguars. But if somehow Buffalo can pull out the miracle, they would go to New England and we would get the winner of Tennessee, Kansas City, which, again, either of those two teams are fine. It's the Jaguars who make me a little bit nervous. But we will see how things pan out. I want to hear from you, boys and girls. Who would you like to face in the divisional round, and who do you think we will face in the divisional round? Comment below and let me know. Remember, guys, follow us on the Twitter. We are at SCurtainCall33. Remember to like our show on Facebook, facebook.com/TheSteelCurtainCall. Remember to support the Steel Curtain Call on Patreon, patreon.com/TheSteelCurtainCall. Remember, guys, it's completely optional. You don't have to, but if you like exclusive content not available here on YouTube, that is decided by you. You can do it on Patreon. Links in the description. And last but not least, boys and girls, most importantly, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is going to help us out the most. And that's going to do it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And we will see you here next week previewing our divisional round matchup. But until then, guys, here we go, Steelers, and have a great day.